Why does President Trump need the narrative to be so clear and so convincing that the Iranian war is well under control and the Strait of Hormuz will be open any minute, any day? Well, the fact of the matter is, he created a hornet's nest. I'm not saying pro or con, I'm saying what he did was underestimated the resilience of the Iranian Republican Guard and the terrorists that work and live in that region. Now, let me tell you what's going to happen. We're not going to have any kind of settlement anytime in the next 12 to 36 months. There's very clear evidence they have no intention on resolving the war. What they want to do is outlast President Trump in the war. And the powder keg, the tool, the weapon they're going to use is the economy and the Achilles heel of the President Trump administration. What is taking place right now is what is not considered to be okay in the Strait of Hormuz. Why are we not going to see the Iranian war resolved anytime soon? And why will we not see a normal supply chain or any kind of normalcy in the supply of crude oil coming out of the Strait of Hormuz? It's very simple, and let me tell you why. Every single country that had control of any type of supply of crude oil was convinced by President Trump to dump their extra supplies into the marketplace to temporarily flood the market with supply that had been disrupted by the Strait of Hormuz being shut down, or else being too chaotic and too risky to move cargo ships and Aframax vessels full of oil through that strait. So everyone believed that the war would be over in 30 days. Everyone believed the war would be over in 60 or 90 days. But the truth of the matter is, here we're going on 5 months and it's not even close to being over. In fact, it's further apart than any time in the last 120 days. So now what you have is every supplier, every single barrel of what I call a soft barrel of oil in a pipeline, in a tank, in a storage facility, in a salt dome, all the excess supply that G7 had, they dumped in 1.5 billion barrels of oil, and there's no more else to give. But more importantly is not only will they not give any more of that supply, they're now panicked, wondering, we bet the farm. We did a poker bet of all our excess supply around the globe to keep oil prices suppressed, hoping that the conflict would end and the Strait of Hormuz would open up. And guess what? It's not open, and it will not be open for quite some time, and maybe never to the same level of normalcy we saw 4 or 5 months ago. So now what's going to take place is the countries, the suppliers, the G7, the Strategic Petroleum Reserves, all of those different supply sources that dump that oil in the market are now saying, wait a minute, we're done. We've had it. We can't dump anymore. Now you're going to have a point of sale market, which means whatever is produced around the globe, whatever can be transported around the globe is going to be all there is. That's about 15 to 18 million barrels a day short. Currently, the Strait of Hormuz is averaging 5 million barrels a day of transportation of oil through the strait. It's deficient by about 12 to 15 million barrels a day. At 101 million barrels a day of global consumption and rising, that's 15% of global supply that is not being replaced by other resources. Over time, maybe 3, 4, 5 years, maybe. But today, it's not going to happen. So the Band-Aid that was put on the last 4 months, that Band-Aid's been ripped off, and now the reality is setting in. And countries who dump that extra supply are now going to hoard what supply they have left. They're actually going to try to buy more oil in the open market and pay higher prices to refill that safety net of excess crude oil and refined product within their own country's control in order to protect their own economies. We're going to see an acceleration of demand for 15 million barrels a day of less supply because of the conflict in Iran. Folks, this is not about magic game. This is about everyone believed that the president of the United States could successfully stop the war. It has proven to not be true or accurate. I think he totally underestimated what the Iranians would do. I also don't believe that when you look at the oil price today at $83 a barrel this afternoon, that is a price that's going to be fair in the market. What's fair in the market is 15% more oil is in demand than can be supplied. That's a major differential. We're not talking 1 or 2%. We're talking 10 to 15% of global supply is not available. And countries with capital will pay whatever price it takes to get that oil to their customers, to their economy, and to whatever they need to do to stabilize their own economic platform. We're about to see what's really going to happen when you don't artificially try to dump excess supply into market, and now you're at a point of sale. Demand equals supply. Supply is deficient, demand's going to rise or stay the same, and prices are going to start to reflect that over the next 60 days. I highly suspect we'll see over the next 30 days oil cross well over $100 a barrel, and my guess is we might see record-setting oil prices by the end of the year. Again, this is one guy talking, but the facts speak for themselves.